Good evening and welcome back to Crime of Midlife. It is whatever evening it is, I can't remember, so there's no point in me saying it in case I get it wrong. And this is my second video of this evening because my first video got usurped by an article I read in The Guardian just now. There I was, sitting eating my dinner quite happily, and I read this article in The Guardian where they're saying that there's 50 odd MPs are putting an amendment through for the housing thing to say that they don't think that there should be mandatory housing targets for councils, it should be advisory. What part of there's not enough housing is this government not getting? Are these MPs not getting? I mean, we have had such a shortage of housing for so many years that the buy-to-let market has exploded. Private landlords are basically the housing providers to everybody because there's such a dearth of social housing. And then what happens is your developers come up, and I mean, if they come up to my area, it's like, oh my goodness, you're in the Perthshire, you're beside the 5-star hotel, we can make so much money, let's do a development. And they find lots of different ways to get round the things that they were, what is it called, Section 75s. The things that if you're allowed to build these houses, then you have to do this for the community. Now, the first one for us was around about at the bottom of the town. It was 2 years late, and they tried to get out of that. The other one was the football pitches with football pavilion that they were supposed to do, because we really only have one set of public football pitches and the other ones are down by the school, fenced in. So they were supposed to do this football pitch and pavilion, tennis courts, the whole lot, and oh, it seems that where we were going to build that, there's a gas line, so we can't do that anymore. Have they moved it? Have they done anything? No, they have not. In 19-something, 80-something, I think, there was a local area plan that said our town was supposed to have 76 more parking spaces. There has still yet to be a parking space added to that town. There are no parking meters, it is free parking up the whole of the main street, and it's pointless. Our local businesses have actually lost business because people who used to come in from the smaller villages don't even bother now because they can't get parked. So yeah, that's that. And then most recently we have, I think actually it's up in front of the council just recently, there was a whole thing, this conglomerate of developers got together and they were like, we'll build so many houses within 10 years. I'm like, yeah, you need to have a grade separated junction because, you know, it's like the A9 outside, it's busy, there's accidents, you need to have a grade separated junction. Now, as far as I know, in my very simplistic brain, grade separated junction means that you have a slip road on and you have a slip road off, so that no one's actually coming onto the dual carriageway from the villages. Oh no. No, they don't think that there should be an on slip. That's not needed. They only need an off slip. So what they'll do is they'll not even do a new road to go on the thing. You'll just use the old slip roads, and there'll be this little thing that digs down under it into a small country road. So this Section 75 thing where they're supposed to, you know, developers are going to make millions out of all these houses, but the community has to have the benefit, have some benefit, and it also includes affordable housing. Now, affordable housing is approximately 20% under market rate. Now, dear Lord in heaven, they do not pay the local farmers, waitresses and shopkeepers or shop assistants enough to be able to pay a mortgage on 20% under the going rate. It's ridiculous. So, on top of all that, if you watched my live, you may have, with Marianne at Wallflowers UK, you may have seen me talk about the affordable housing that was supposed to be there. Now, they built the flats. Do you know, they had the big square block with all the windows and everything. And I just happened to see, as I was looking through the council thing, oh, the developers have said, actually, we built more affordable homes in the small village 5 miles along the road, where prices are a lot lower. So that's our affordable housing for the area because it's the same council, and excuse me, and so these flats can go for full price, and the council allowed it. What is that about? So in my area, we actually have a whole lot of houses getting built because the big, trifecta of developers has built their houses, but there's also been smaller developers building their houses. People have built in the gardens. Where my mum and dad's house was before I had to sell it was up beside the hotel, and they were virtually the last house standing where there was enough land to build 2 houses in the garden, or using the garden. Everybody else had done that to make money. And when I was showing the house around, it was the first question I asked was, are you looking to stay here or are you looking to develop? And their answer meant that I showed them it differently. So that's now been sold to a developer, obviously. I have care home fees to pay. So that is how this local community has had so many houses built. But there's still so few young people or older people who want to downsize who can find smaller houses, more affordable houses. It's just not happening. Social housing, there's been no social housing here since I was a kid. And now this amendment is coming through to say, we don't want it to be mandatory, we want it to be advisory. Well, dear Lord, what council, says her again, looking for something for land, what council is going to build social housing or affordable housing if they do not have to? Their budgets have been cut to the absolute bone and we're getting left with nothing. And, because of the lack of social housing and lack of affordable housing, what's happened in recent years with the low interest rates and all that, the buy-to-let has absolutely exploded. So there's loads and loads of private landlords. Now, some of them are really, really good. Some of them are really, really awful, as we just saw recently with the young boy who died because of the mould in his house. Why on earth was that supposed to be acceptable? That amount of mould in the house. And that's obviously not the only one. And I know someone who was privately renting as well. Their bathroom was covered in mould and they were told to wipe it off with bleach. The HomeServe emergency insurance would not come to the house when there was a burst pipe because the construction of the house or the repairs to the house had been done so badly and so cheaply that the insurance contractors would not put their name to it. They would not work on that house. And that's obviously not going to be the only one like that. So now, anyone who's not in one of your luxury developments, you're really struggling to get a decent house. And now the government, well, at least 50 odd MPs, are trying to make an amendment that local councils do not have to provide housing or make sure that developers provide housing. Now, the developers are making millions, and trust me, they do not want to build up in the poor area in one of the big cities. No. They're not interested in building up there. They want to build here, where there's a higher profit margin. And don't for 1 minute think that the quality is any better, because I know this. Not that we work on construction, we do repairs, but having worked with a construction company, having Patrick, who's been an electrician for many, many years, the only difference in a house, when it's housing association or affordable housing and luxury developments, is the finishings. The actual build of the house is 99% of the time exactly the same. They just do it in a big line. And for the affordable housing, it's got cheaper finishing. For the deluxe luxury housing, it's got higher end finishings. You know, your kitchen's a bit posher. You've maybe got hardwood skirtings instead of MDF skirtings. That's the only difference. The actual build of the house is still as crap on either one. Because we've all seen those snagging videos about the new build houses nowadays. Oh my goodness, who would trust that? Ridiculous. So, yeah, really, really irked about this. The fact that they're now looking to stop the only way we've got of trying to push to get affordable housing on the market. If it's not mandatory, there's no developer is going to volunteer to put affordable housing in. And there's no council is going to be able to afford social housing. So then it all excuse me, so then it all ends up with your housing associations. And look what happened with that. Mould-ridden, damp-ridden, to the point of a young lad died. And that's supposed to be a charity to help housing, really. So, if you perchance want to email your MP and tell them you do not want them agreeing with this amendment, it might help, it might not. But it's certainly something to watch, because if that goes through, there will be a whole lot less housing. And we're struggling for housing as it is. And I mean, the amount of migrants that we've got coming over, the amount of kids that are being born, the longer people are living, all that sort of thing. They all need homes. And the government is not, it's not getting homes. It's not making homes. It's not making developers make homes. So what are we going to do? I don't know. But certainly that is something to watch. So yes, I'm done now. Now I'm going to go and sit and have a cup of tea and a chocolate biscuit. Catch you later.